Once upon a time lived a young woman named Sana. Sana was known throughout the village for her envious nature. She would often look at the house of her neighbor and sigh, wishing that she had such a beautiful home. Whenever she saw a friend wearing fine clothes, she would lament about her own simple garments. Even when someone was just enjoying a pleasant day, Sana couldn't help but feel discontent with her own life. Why can't I have that? She would often ask herself, her heart filled with envy. One day, Sana decided she could not bear the sight of others' happiness any longer. She packed a small bag and left the village, determined to seek a new life somewhere else. As she walked along a winding path, she came across an old wise woman sitting under a tree. The woman had a serene expression on her face that seemed to radiate inner peace. Intrigued by the woman's calm demeanor, Sana decided to approach her. "Excuse me," Sana began hesitantly, "but how do you find peace? How do you manage to be so content?" The old woman looked at Sana with a knowing gaze and replied, "My dear child, it's very simple. All you need to do is be grateful for what you have. When you focus on what you don't have, you will never be satisfied." Sana pondered the woman's words, realizing the truth in them. However, she found it difficult to apply this advice to her life. For years, she had been consumed by envy, comparing herself to others and feeling inadequate. But the old woman's words planted a seed of change in her heart. With a newfound determination, Sana decided to return to her village and confront her envious thoughts. Upon her return, Sana noticed her village in a different light. She observed the beauty of nature, the warmth of the sun on her skin, and the sound of birds singing in the trees. For the first time, she truly appreciated the simple pleasures of life that she had taken for granted. She remembered the old woman's advice, "Be grateful for what you have," and she began to do just that. She started by looking at the house she had always envied. Instead of focusing on its grandeur, she noticed the cracks in the walls and the faded paint. She realized that no house was perfect, and that her own home, though humble, was filled with love and laughter. She turned her attention to the people she had compared herself to. Instead of envying their possessions or status, she acknowledged their unique qualities and appreciated their friendship. She realized that each person had their own struggles, and that no one's life was as perfect as it appeared. As Sana embraced gratitude, a sense of inner peace washed over her. She no longer felt the need to possess what others had, because she realized that true happiness came from within. She understood that the old woman was right. Contentment was not about acquiring material possessions, but about appreciating the blessings already present in her life. One evening, Sana decided to visit the old woman again. She wanted to express her gratitude for the advice that had transformed her life. As she approached the tree where the woman had been sitting, she noticed a small cottage. Surprised, she had not known that the old woman lived so close by. Taking a deep breath, Sana knocked on the door. The old woman opened the door and greeted Sana with a warm smile. "I wanted to thank you," Sana began, "for helping me understand the importance of gratitude. You have no idea how much your words have changed my life." The old woman's smile widened. "You are most welcome, child. It's all in the way we choose to look at things. When we focus on what we have, our lives become rich and fulfilling. When we focus on what we don't have, our lives become empty and dissatisfied." They sat down together, and the old woman shared stories and wisdom that helped Sana grow even more. She taught Sana how to cultivate gratitude in everyday life, and how to find joy in the simple things. Over the next few weeks, Sana continued to practice the lessons she had learned from the old woman. She started a small garden and found pleasure in nurturing the plants and watching them grow. She spent more time with her friends and family, cherishing their company and creating new memories. As time passed, Sana's transformation amazed everyone in the village. They noticed that she was no longer consumed by envy, but by gratitude. Her newfound peace and contentment were evident to all who knew her. One day, while Sana was tending to her garden, a group of women from the village approached her. They had gathered together to discuss the upcoming annual village fair. "We're planning a fashion show," one of the women said to Sana, "and we would love for you to participate. Everyone is talking about how much you've changed, and we think it would be wonderful if you could share your story." Sana was taken aback by the request. She had never been interested in being the center of attention, and the thought of sharing her personal story in front of the entire village made her nervous. However, she knew that this was an opportunity to spread the message of gratitude, that had transformed her life. With a deep breath, she accepted the invitation. On the day of the village fair, excitement filled the air. Stalls were adorned with colorful decorations, and villagers from all around had gathered to celebrate. When it was time for the fashion show, the MC announced, "And now we have a special guest who has a remarkable story to share." As Sana walked onto the makeshift runway, she could feel the eyes of the entire village on her. Taking a deep breath, she began her story. She described how she had met the old woman and the life-changing advice she had received. At first, I found it hard to be grateful. But as I started to appreciate what I had, my life became filled with contentment. Now I wake up each morning with a heart full of thanks. The villagers listened attentively, nodding in understanding. They, too, had faced moments of envy and knew how it felt to compare oneself to others. As Sana continued her story, she noticed her mother and friends from childhood in the crowd. They were beaming with pride, their eyes shining with tears. When she finished her talk, the crowd erupted in applause. Villagers approached her, thanking her for her inspiring story and sharing their own experiences. The event organizer came up to her and said, "Sana, you have a gift for this. You should travel and share your story with others." That night after the fair, Sana felt a sense of fulfillment and joy. She realized that her journey of gratitude had led her to this moment. And as the applause echoed in her ears, she knew that she had done something truly special. From that day on, Sana continued to spread the message of gratitude, traveling to different villages and towns. She became known as the Envy Slayer, and her story was a beacon of hope for those struggling with discontentment. Whenever she saw someone consumed by envy, she would remind them of the old woman's words. When you focus on what you have, your life becomes rich. When you focus on what you don't have, your life becomes poor. Through her talks and stories, she inspired countless people to appreciate the blessings in their lives and to let go of envy. And whenever Sana returned to her village, she would visit the old woman, sharing stories of her travels and thanking her for guiding her on the path of gratitude. The old woman, with her serene smile, would simply say, "You were always on that path, Sana. I just helped you see it." Thus, the tale of Sana, the Envy Slayer, became a legend, reminding people far and wide that true happiness lay not in what one possessed, but in the appreciation of what they already had. The moral of the story: gratitude turns little into enough. If you like this video, please leave a comment below and subscribe for more updates on our stories.